sweatband is kind of coming apart on the back side. There's this woven material that's kind of breaking up here. Oh yeah, look at this, it's all frayed here. Oh, it's pulling right apart, look at that. Oh, it's just deteriorated, coming into pieces, look at that. It's just pulling all apart. The fabric is toast. So, next step, see about putting a new sweatband into it. I'm going to replace the sweatband in the hat. I went online, found a source, had a nice leather sweatband made for me. It's sized to my head. And this is going to get sewn into the hat. This is a reeded sweatband, which means it has this tape that's been sewn to the edge that has a reed in here, a nylon reed, I believe. And that helps it hold its circular shape and keep a nice edge. The first thing I need to do is strip this hat apart and remove everything. We will proceed with deconstructing the hat. I'll probably need to replace this hat band. You can see how it has shrunk. It is leather and it's shrunk and it's pulled up on the crown. This is stitched on in a few spots. It's tacked. Let's see, I gotta get in here and cut those with just a seam ripper, regular seam ripper. Okay. Yeah, look at the original color of the hat. Now I just do the same thing, go in here and clip all these threads. It'd be easier if I had a little more light on it here, huh? Works pretty easily. Okay, get rid of that. Now I just have to take some time and get all the little thread pieces out of here. Now, I already was playing with this, seeing about the fit here, and it fits pretty well. This band is actually quite a bit taller than what I removed, and what I see going on is that when I bring it down into the hat, it starts to bunch up down in this area through here, see? Because there's taper to the hat. It's slightly cone shaped and it must be more tapered than the sweatband. See that? So what I'm going to do, and I don't know if this is cool or not, but it's the thought that came to me, is I'm going to snip some little darts into the leather so that it can compress a little more in this top section as it goes into the hat. Okay, maybe I'll turn this inside out and I can see what I'm snipping here. All right. Now I have those little darts snipped in there, and I'm hoping that's going to allow it to fit a little easier down into this cone. The bow goes at the back. Yeah, I can tell that's working a little bit better already. Let's see. Yeah, that's going to feel pretty good. I think so. Now in sewing this in, I'm going to sew through this tape, this reeded tape, not the leather. I'm going to mark a line around the outside of the hat that I can follow while I sew. This little board is 3/16 of an inch thick, and I'm going to lay it right on the hat brim and use tailor's chalk and see if I can just mark a line around the hat to follow with my stitching. Okay, I've gone all the way around. How's that look? I've put white thread on a needle to use as my basting thread. And again, I can see this line, see the mark from where the old one came out. I want to keep it level with that mark because that's the bottom rim. I'm going to work in my lap. I think that's going to be easier. This is tricky. How do I start? I'm going to start right here, putting the needle through a pre-punched hole from the stitching on the reading tape. And I'm just going to line this up with the old mark and try to come back through. There. I kind of have it where I want it. That's hard to do. I only poked myself once. A little blood on the hat. Oh well. A little more history to this hat. You can see how my basting stitches are up and down and all over the place. That was harder to do than I imagined. But all we're doing is holding it in place, and this is all going to get pulled out. Now what we're supposed to do is turn this out and stitch through with a finish stitch following that line I chalked on here. I have some green thread I'm going to use. This is a polyester thread, and it's something close to the hat. It doesn't have to be perfect because it's going to get covered with the hatband afterward. I'm going to stitch it doing a lock stitch. And what I've done is I've taken a sewing machine needle because it's a little heavier, and I've put it in the handle of my my little stitching awl handle. You do it with one piece of thread, so you need twice as much thread as the length of your stitching. And that's going to be about like that. So, cut that off there. All right, so I've put the thread through my needle. I'm going to start at the rear of the hat. I'm going to push this through right on my line. And then what I want to do is bring one of those ends all the way through the hat. There we go. Okay, so now I've got thread on the inside and thread on the outside. Now the way this works, that I read, is that I want to do my stitches, I don't know, about an 1/8 inch apart. And you're supposed to punch through and then pull the awl back, and it creates a little loop. And then I take this end and I put it through that loop. Okay. And we pull it back out and pull it tight. That's our starting stitch right there. Second stitch. What I want to do, go about an 1/8 inch from my first one. Puncture through. Now I'm going to try to turn this so the camera can see what's going on here. So here's the needle, here's the inside thread. If I pull the needle back, can you see that? It created a little loop. And then I'm going to put this thread through that loop. Like that. And then I'm going to pull the needle out and pull it tight. So what this is doing is it's looping the threads together the way a sewing machine would. Right there. Around here, pull it back. Put that through the loop. Get that off of my bow. And then pull the needle out. And voila, pull it tight. I've come all the way around my starting point, and to finish it off, I bring the needle through and pull the thread all the way through. Remove the needle, and now I have my two ends here, and I'm just going to tie these off. Now, to be fair, I've already done this a couple of times because I broke my thread twice as I was working. And I had to loop a new piece of thread and start again, which not that big a deal. But that's how I finish it off. Cut those off. And that's it. Now I can remove my basting thread. I just pull all that out. Actually, this helps. All right. Puckering a little bit on the upper side, but I think that'll wear into place. All I need to do is put a new hatband on. All right, it's time to add the hatband. I went to a local supplier, found a nice piece of black buffalo hide. This is a soft leather. I like that. I'm going to go to black instead of the brown that was on here originally. And I'm going to make this hatband slightly wider. This was a 1/2 inch wide. I think I would like to go to a 5/8 inch wide on here. I just think that that is going to have a nice look, something a little new and different than what was there before. So I need to cut a strip 5/8 inch wide. The length looks like I need at least 24 inches to go around, and I'm going to need a little bit of spare. I need to overlap it, so I'm going to make it about 27 inches. I think I'll cut a strip 26-27 inches long to sit around there. I'm going to cut this using a wheel cutter on the cutting mat. There we go. That worked just fine. Nice. I've cut this to 26.5 inches long, which is, I think, just about right to go around the hat. I want the joint to happen on the left side of the hat. That's traditional. So it's going to cross a little bit and join there. Out of a piece of the scrap, I made this little loop. I just sewed a little loop out of the tail end of the piece of leather to act as like a belt loop that will contain both ends of this. Let's see, it'll go like that. There we go. That'll be the idea. Like that. I need a little curve in this to get this to lay nicely against the crown of the hat. See how this sits out a little bit at the top? That needs to be in against the hat like that. I've got to, stretch or curve the leather a little bit. So to get the curve in the hat band, I have a damp rag. I'm going to get the leather just a little bit damp, and that's going to make it even more pliable than it already is. This is a soft leather, as you can see. It's not stiff, but moisture is going to allow me to mold it a little bit, and if all goes well, it'll hold its shape. But you can see on this end, I cut a little curve. I just used scissors and cut a little curve. And what I'm going to do is use a warm iron. I've got it set like it's at about 3.5 on my iron, which is it's just warm. I'm going to put this over the leather, protect it a little bit, and then just use a little heat. And I'm pulling this in just a slight curve, just gently pulling it as I go. And we'll see if we can't just set a curve into that. I've never tried this before on leather. This is the same technique I've used on a fabric or on a grosgrain fabric to do a regular hat band. So I'm hoping that that is going to work fine here for leather. Yeah, it seems to be. There we go. See, that's got a curve in it now. Hangs there naturally. See the curve in that? Now that should lay around there and make a nicer contact to the crown. Oh, that fits pretty nice. I'm happy with that. And finally, to keep the band in place, it needs to be tacked in a few spots with some little stitches. So I'm going to do that just using a black thread. Now, in order to stitch this leather, you have to pre-punch holes in it because it's very hard to put a needle through the leather. It's pretty tough stuff. So I'm using a little triangle shaped awl. It tends to make a little bit of a slit and cut its way in, which is nice. And we just need to puncture it just a little bit, and then that'll let my needle pass through. Let's see, I'll go this way. Okay, there's the starting point. I just have to decide where to tack it as I go around the hat. Partway down the crown here, and just pick a spot. I punch a hole. I need to punch actually a little pair of holes. Side by side. There we go. Where's my needle here? Here we go. And the object is to come back right through those holes I punched. There we go. Okay, how'd that work out? Yeah, so there's my little tacks along the top edge of the band to hold it in place. And it lays in pretty well. I think as I wear the hat it'll take some form and settle a little better, but that's it. All right. I like it. The only thing left to do now is put my roundup cord back on, and I got a new black cord that'll match. That's easy enough. Through here and there. It goes kind of equal. And our bead back on there. Yeah, and then put my little memento pins back on here. Yeah. Nice new sweatband, nice fresh leather hatband.
Successful project.